This sermon is called Drowning, 1/11/09. One of the things that I heard in a story form that I thought was just really fascinating, and I tied in with Hurricane Ike, is that when flooding happens, you're desperate. You have imminent death. You don't have any resources because fire trucks can't get to you. If you're on your roof and the water is still climbing and you're scared, many people turn to God. Now, hopefully you'll turn to God in a more often position, but if this is the only time that you pray to God, then I want you to understand that sometimes God answers in God's way, not what we would necessarily go, oh yeah, bolt of lightning, big white furry person showing up, must be an angel, so it's from God. Well, I think we need to broaden our perspective a little bit, because God works in mysterious ways. And one of the ways that God works is by sending what we need, not necessarily in a form that we think is acceptable. The story that I heard was fascinating. It was about a fellow who was in a flood, and he was on his roof. The water was climbing. And he said, God, please, please send me something to save me from drowning. Okay? Pretty simple. Most people would do it. Well, along comes a log. It's a big log. It's floating high up in the water. Nice dry one. Probably fell over because of the windstorm. Okay. And the fellow looks at it and he goes, flotsam. It's debris. And it floats on by. Even though it had lodged up under the roof of his house for, several minutes waiting there. And it floats on by. Next thing is a piece of fencing that is big and fluffy and just all over the place. It's big. I mean, it's like 10 to 20 feet across diagonally. Structurally sound, lots of wood. It was riding high up in the water. The guy says, oh, my neighbors really lost their fence this time. It lodged under the house several minutes, and then it floated off. Next thing that happens is this old scroungy fellow, looks like a homeless guy, probably stole the little boat that he's in. There wasn't a motor in this boat, he just had oars. It was just big enough for this fellow to sit in the prow of the boat. He took one look at this guy and went, whoa, I don't think so. This guy's probably going to knock me over the head and take anything I have in my pockets before he tosses me over. The guy says, I'd like to help you. I'm going one at a time to the roofs that are flooded and helping people. Please get in. So he had a verbal invitation this time. And he let his better judgment take over, and he decided this was too dangerous. Besides, none of his household stuff that he had, drug up through the roof could fit in this little boat. He'd have to leave his stuff. Well, the guy says, hey, there's other roofs of people that need help. Please get in now or I'm going to have to leave. He says, well, hey, something better will come along. I'll be okay. You go on. And the fellow rode off and went and probably rescued the rest of the community. And the water keeps coming up. At some point, this fellow loses his grip on the roof, quits being able to tread water, and drowns. And he goes to heaven. And he asks God, why didn't you save me? I prayed. I've been a devout Christian all of my life. But you ignored me. You ignored my needs. Why did you ignore me? And God says, listen, I sent you a log. It was bigger than you needed, and your backpack would have hung on that one limb I arranged for you. I got you a fence that was big enough for all of your stuff to fit on, and you didn't see it as me. You ignored it because it wasn't up to your standards. And then the only human being that I could get a hold of was a very old fellow who was homeless, but he had a big heart. and he wanted to help people. So I put it in his heart to go and row to these people's houses and rescue them. He even verbally said what I told him to say. Please get in the boat. And you judged him. I told you, don't judge people. But you judged him. So you drowned. Every gift I sent for you was ignored or made little because it wasn't glowing. Many things happen in the way I need it to happen, not the way you should have it happen. Well, the guy learned his lessons. He was in heaven, but he had missed out on an opportunity to learn the rest of the things that he would have learned if he had lived a long life. I think one of the things that we need to learn here is we need to not think of things in terms of, is it good enough for me? If we have a need and we silently pray or just think, boy, I think this would be really good if I could just, get off of this traffic stop because my kids are waiting for me at home. If something happens that creates an opportunity, it's in the way that you're seeing it. Take the opportunity. If it's not hurting someone else, it's from God. Learn how to look through different eyes. Learn how to see God answering your prayers. And quit assessing whether it's good enough for the prayer that you had. Anyway, I hope that this was a learning experience for you. God bless the whole world, no exceptions. Angel Eliza.